Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I hope you guys are out there staying safe, and we all know what I'm talking about here. So, let's just dive right into it. Today, we're talking about the OG Duke Nukem game, the original Duke Nukem game, very first one. I'm going into this kind of blind. I got this game out of a bundle, and I'm not sure when or where. I believe the bundle came with my copy of Duke Nukem 3D as well as Duke Nukem 2 and several other games. I'm unfamiliar with what the bundle actually is or what it would cost, so I can't really give you too much of an insight there. And it doesn't seem to have its own individual store page, I don't think. No, it does not. I can't seem to find one through searching, so that means that the game doesn't have a Steam rating. So, we're going into this raw, my dudes, and we're going into this completely fresh. I have read and seen very little, if anything, about this game, so we're going based off of my first experience, and my first experience tells me I suck at it, first of all. Gameplay footage will be me fumbling around the first level, kind of getting the hang of the controls and stuff like that. I pop up the menu a couple of times just to double check on things. But this is an old DOSBox game, so it boots DOSBox to run your game when you load this up, which is wild. But definitely this is a classic fun game. I'm gonna be honest with that. So we kind of are familiar. We're kind of familiar with Duke Nukem, actually, though. We're a little bit familiar with him through more recently Duke Nukem Forever, prefer better or worse. But those of us from the 90s are familiar with him from Duke Nukem 3D and stuff like that. Duke Nukem Land of the Babes and other games along those lines. This is a little bit before that. This is before all the one-liners and all that. Well, maybe not, actually. There is dialogue, a little bit of it, as you saw at the start there. But this is OG Duke with his original design, complete with the pink T-shirt and everything, and gathering up footballs and joysticks and stuff. It's just, and you know what? It's just a classic platforming PC game. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like a good, solid, old school PC platformer with shooting to combat the bad guys and make available the bonuses and stuff. The game even keeps your score. You got to find the key to get through the door. I had quite a bit of difficulty figuring out how to get through the door area to get through the door to the next level. So it doesn't really hold your hand at all. It gives you hints and tutorials here and there. The hints being more or less tutorials. But like the game doesn't tell you how to shoot or jump. You gotta hit F1 and go to instructions to figure that out. But I don't mind that. I like my games with a little bit of a challenge, and it doesn't hold your hand at all. It also doesn't hold itself back. As far as like the AI of the bad guys, it's all real simplistic stuff. Early PC shit, they're on a single surface and they go up or down or back and forth depending on whether the surface is horizontal or vertical. I haven't come across anything in the first level that shoots back per se. There was a bigger robot that I saw at one point, but he went down pretty easy. I only died once. So, first level, not too hard. The challenge more comes from not knowing how to play. And honestly, I could see going through this game with you guys at some point, maybe, you know, going through and looking at it a little bit more, maybe doing some kind of a Let's Play or something where we sit down and we play the game together for a while or something and see how far we can get in there. But for the time being, we've got this video where we're talking about it. So, do I recommend this game? I do. I do, but there's an asterisk there. There's definitely an asterisk there because this is an old school PC game through and through. This is pre-Doom shooting, you know. This is a classic PC platformer, and it's the difficulty's only going up from here. You know, it starts off with a decent challenge, but towards the end of the game, and when it comes to boss fights, because I'm sure there are boss fights, it's going to become really demanding of the player. really demanding of the player to, make their way through the game with tact and mastery of the controls. You're trying to, make your way through it. So, what is the general story here? I have a convenient image here that kind of gives you the backstory a little bit. So we're gonna kind of paraphrase it a little bit, but more or less, it takes place in the future, probably the past by the year 2020, but whatever. But the bad guy is Dr. Proton, and he's a nuclear physicist. Kind of loses his shit a little bit. Starts building an army of tech bots, as they're called. They're robots. He's basically Duke Nukem's Dr. Eggman, or Dr. Robotnik, depending on which one you prefer to call him. So, what about Duke? Where does Duke come into this? Well, apparently Duke's preference over doing this stuff would be to just hang out in his apartment in LA and watch the soaps. Google what watching soaps is if you don't know. If you don't know what soaps is, you should look it up. That's how you know the game is old as shit. The fact that they use the word soaps right here on what I'm reading. But, Duke's got to tough up. CIA hires him and sends him into the city to stop him. And there you go. That is basically more or less what we're doing right here. So the game is broken up into 3 episodes, and each episode is going to have a variety of levels, and I imagine a boss at the end of it, or possibly multiple bosses throughout. And this episodic method of storytelling and setting up levels is something that we see a lot in these classic games. Doom is separated by episodes, and in the old game, and Duke Nukem 3D is separated by episodes, and a lot of these classic games kind of do stuff like that. And it honestly kind of worked, because they didn't charge you full price, or a price rather, for every single episode, where to ending up with the whole game costs you about the same as, or possibly even more than, just buying a fucking game, The modern episodic thing that went on for a little while that affected Resident Evil Revelations 2 among many, many other games, it was frowned upon. It was frowned upon because shit was coming out at different times, which tells people that the game's not done, and they're just kind of pushing it out piece by piece. And I mean, I guess if you're gonna force a game out early, that would be the way to do it, I guess. But just don't force out a game early. Just finish the goddamn game, come on. You got fucking Mass Effect Andromeda over here, having all the promise in the world, and just getting thrown out the damn door. I could just see it. BioWare's just sitting there, and they're fucking, one of their lead animation team guys probably walks up to EA, and he's like, we're about 3 weeks from done having facial animations completed, and EA looks at me like, cool, the game came out yesterday. It's like, fucking, really? Alright, cool, I guess, fuck us then, and that sucks. The mishandling of that game single-handedly ended the Mass Effect franchise, which is something that a franchise that I was very, very, very happy with. I very much enjoyed it, and you know what? I played through Mass Effect Andromeda. I played through the whole entire game, despite the lack of my sweet, sweet Quarians. And I'm gonna say it, I looked at the forest for the trees. The story wasn't terrible, The game just had a lot of issues. A lot of issues. And it just felt incomplete. It felt like they wanted to do so much more with it. But anyway, back to the game at hand. Duke Nukem is a complete game. It doesn't feel like they wanted to do anything else with it. It feels like Duke Nukem is exactly what it wanted to be at the time that it was put out. Because it was put out in a time where you finished the goddamn game before you put it out. And so, yeah. Overall, though, solid-ass game. A classic, in my opinion. Duke Nukem has always been what I believe to be a more of a classic, old school kind of a game franchise. I feel like Duke Nukem doesn't really have a lot of business in the modern gaming scene. I feel like Duke Nukem's a character that, he doesn't really belong in gaming at the moment. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just, you know, after, and it's not even a matter of political correctness or anything like that. It's really boils down to a matter of just the mishandling of Duke Nukem Forever is really the biggest reason why Duke Nukem just doesn't really have a huge place in current gaming. His franchise just needs to be relaxed for a little while. You know, maybe come back in 10 years or something. But because trying to put forth another Duke Nukem game after gathering up all that controversy around Duke Nukem Forever, controversy for all kinds of reasons, good and bad, you know. Controversy over the shit gameplay, controversy over, you know, Duke's one-liners feeling totally out of place, controversy for the portrayal of women and such. You know, there's a lot of controversies, a lot of sexualization controversies and everything going on in Duke Nukem Forever. And honestly, overall, I think it's just done a bit of damage to the brand. Personally, I feel like it's done a bit of damage to the character. Duke's just not in tip-top shape anymore. He needs to hit the gym and come back after a few years, so to speak. This is all figurative. That said, I've always been a big fan of the Duke Nukem franchise. I like to see the forest for the trees here. You know, I understand the flaws that come with every Duke Nukem game, and with most Duke Nukem games, there are many, and that's fine. You know, but for raw gameplay purposes, they generally tend to be fun. They don't tend to take themselves all too seriously, which is great. I love seeing that in a game that doesn't take itself seriously at all. And I think that, you know, maybe one day it'll make a comeback that it deserves. But for now, I don't think it will. And on that note, I think that's all I've got for you today. So, that all said, remember, once again, this will be your every other day-ish reminder to be kind to one another, love one another, take care of one another. Love, be kind to, and take care of yourself as well. And always look out for each other. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, grief that bell button a little bit if you'd like to. And until next time, I will fucking see you later.